Um, Another episode of Let Us Talk Live special tonight with Kai from the People's FC. Hope everyone's safe. Hope everyone's good. Um, just wait for a few people to come on. Kai's on here now. I'll add him in a minute. So tonight we'll be talking, as I say, to Kai from the People's FC. Be talking about um, the People's FC itself and some thoughts and views on mental health. And any questions are welcome. Monday we are back on again with another episode with 4 more guests. A good friend of mine, Gavin Walker, will be on. Also, we will have DT from well-known YouTube person, and just won the Blood Brothers League with DTFC. Who else? Forgotten the other two at the moment. The other two, what will be on, will be Dominic Weston, and also on Monday there will be another guest who is Jake Plasman, who is a big Dons fan. So he will be on Monday as well. That's at 8 o'clock. But as I say, tonight we have Kai from the People's FC. Let me just get him on.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, you?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm in the forest on the common.
Yeah, but you alright though?
Yeah. You?
Yeah.
I've got
So
my dog here. My dog keeps crying.
that's alright. So for the ones what don't know you, let them know who you are, how we know each other, and obviously what mental health. First thoughts on mental health. What does it mean to you?
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, I am Kai. I am the founder of the People's FC. I started the team because I unfortunately found a family friend hang himself in a park. I'm actually about a minute away from now. It's in my local area. I've got post-traumatic stress disorder from it, and I wasn't ill, but I wasn't the same for about 2 years. And after 2 years, I decided to do a one-off charity game to raise money for his 2 kids. And I done it with one of my best pals, Raja, who I run the club with. And it was a really successful day. So we decided to expand from there and sort of just carry on from there. And it just sort of went from strength to strength. And now now we're just, I wouldn't say flying, but we're doing really well now.
Yeah. So you touched on it first of all. Obviously, mental health is quite close to you. Obviously, after um, finding obviously a friend and that, and what you went through. Obviously, you can touch on it as much as you want, and how you don't want to. It's up to you, obviously, Kai. But I'll let you obviously say a bit about your story and going into the People's FC if you want to do that, and then any questions from myself or from anyone on here, obviously they're welcome, and we'll stop as we go along. You know what I mean? But you can say what you want to and what you need to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so when you said about mental health as well, I think I'll be honest. I'm quite blessed in the sense of I've always had my mum about. My dad's always sort of been there. I've had good family around me. I've had good friends. I live in a okay area. I haven't really, got anything I can really massively complain about. But ongoing issues of mental health, I've obviously had my own problems. I had post-traumatic stress disorder for a while, and my mum's always suffered with mental health. So my mum's been ill for quite a while, and my mum goes through stages where she's okay for a few months, and she gets really bad again. And I feel like that was something that sort of silently affected me, if you know what I mean. Because it was little things like when I was younger and I wanted to go and play for. I was at some really good clubs when I was younger, and I had opportunities at really good clubs, and I didn't get to fulfil them because little things like my mum used to worry about me a lot. She used to get really paranoid, and she wouldn't want me going training because it was too far or it was too dark. So it's sort of, I'm not blaming my mum for me not being where I want to be in my career, but you know, it has sort of impacted it silently, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Obviously, you're saying about that. What does obviously football like mean to you now? And in the past, was that a focus? Was that a focus overall to get away from maybe the problems what you was going through, or other people around you were going through?
Yes and no, because I've had a lot of issues I've had in my life as well have come from football as well. For
Yeah.
example, when I dislocated my knee when I was 16 or 17, and I went for a dark place there where I was injured for a long time, and a lot of people don't really know it, but I was working as a lifeguard in Woolwich, and
Yeah.
I actually took to drinking quite a lot as well, and I've never really been a big drinker, and I was drinking whilst I was working, and that's technically illegal because I was a lifeguard, I was in charge of people and stuff, but I couldn't
Yeah. Of
really help
course.
it, and that was sort of a bad time. And when I was 18, just turned 19 actually, I had a game. My birthday's March 18th, and I had a game March the 23rd, and I actually got scouted for. I've said this on a live before. I got scouted by a really good club, a club that, you know, it was literally like a dream come true, and uh, and basically what it was, he thought because of my age, everyone in my academy was between 16 to 18, and I just turned 19. And he basically promised me the world. I've still got the messages from him now. Promised him to take me to this team, promising me to go to all these places. And basically, he just said I was a year too old to even get a trial. I wasn't guaranteed to get in, but I was basically like, he basically said I was 4 days too old to get a trial.
Mm.
And that's the longest I've got in my life, apart from when I done my knee, that I haven't played football. And that was a really dark time as well. And when I was younger, when I got kicked out of school, I got released by a team I'd been at for 7 years, and so my dog's really annoying me. Shut up! But yeah, I got released by. I was at Welling United at the time, and I got released by them. And I had the same manager for 7 years.
Mm.
I was obviously in the same school for I think I was in my third year there. I was at Harris Academy, and I got kicked out. And it was sort of like everything hit me at once. You know what I mean? You know, like everyone's got a routine in their life that they sort of follow. You know, people go to work, whatever. People go play football on a Sunday. When that routine changes, it hurts people,
Yeah.
and it sort of impacts them a lot. And that's what sort of impacted me a lot was the change in my life. And that's the only time I can really, really say, apart from finding a family friend, that I've been seriously down. Apart from
Yeah.
that, I've only experienced it with my mum. So
Do you feel being at school there was not enough help maybe at the time?
I'll be honest. The school that I was at Harris Academy in Falconwood, and they did try to offer me help, but rather than helping me with I had two counselors. I had a counsellor called Simon, and I had a counsellor called Jill. I remember, and he keeps smelling my phone. He can hear the dog. Yeah, yeah. The dog's getting on my nerves. And as good as the counsellors was, they didn't. It sort of just felt like, I don't know, like I needed more, if you know what I mean. The school did try to help. They tried to. I was a lot different when I was younger to what I am now, and I just feel like I needed more help. And they tested me for everything. They tested me for being for being a schizophrenic, ADHD, everything else. But I just needed a release, and that ended up being, I think when I was I've always played football, but my big release for me was playing football seriously, taking it on a more serious level. So, like, I've always played for a decent team, but I've never put the effort in. I just sort of went training, went to the game, and then done whatever I had to do. So, I feel like football's helped me in a way, but then it's also been a bit of a downfall as well, because I think there's a dark side to football that a lot of people don't know about.
What was I going to say? yeah, Spencer from Essex charity team turned and said, "Football is a temporary release from mental health. Do you agree?"
I do agree. At the moment, for me personally, where I haven't really got the pressures of football, I haven't really played Saturdays this season because I've just been focusing on my Sundays. Where
Mm.
I know that I'm playing with my friends and the people to see is my life, it is a big release for me because a lot of people go to their jobs. They don't like their job. They've got a 9 to 5 job. Their escape on a Sunday is their escape is football on a Sunday. So I do feel like it
Mm.
is. I feel like I mean, I think it is for everyone. Football's the biggest sport in the world, and I feel like
All going
it's
from
for
me as well. Said to you before, I turned around and said, like, when my dad was going through the things what he was going through in the last year, I feel like my release was when I, and this was not every Sunday, but um, when we was training with the England six-a-side team, I feel that was my release. You know what I mean? Because I was focused on that and looking forward to the training sessions and then obviously going to the World Cup and that. Like that was my release, and I said that to you before. So yeah, I think everyone release is different, but obviously,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people's release, what I know or whatever it is, yeah, it is football in some sense, but your problem's always going to be there away from football after that anyway. I feel still, yeah, it's your release for that period of time, but it probably is not. It's not going to
I,
obviously. It's not going to cure them. You know what I mean?
I do feel like football is a good thing because there's it's less time that you're struggling. But I
Mm.
feel like a lot of the time people it's hard to hear for a lot of people, but a lot of their own problems are things that they can change. If you know what I mean. Like I don't want to sound
Yeah.
horrible with that. Like a lot of the time people can't change the things that trouble them. But
Mm.
I feel like a lot of the time there is issues that can be solved, and it's how people go about solving them. And I also feel like people get themselves in more of a situation with the way that they deal with their issues. For
Yeah.
example, I've had friends that have been really down, and their way of dealing with their mental health is going out drinking or partying. I've said it on lives before. Like their way of doing it is probably drugs or going out and drinking every weekend. And then the thing is, that just sort of that makes the problem 10 times worse, in my opinion.
Mm.
It
It
really does.
escalates it. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think Sam Wright's just joined. I'm really glad he didn't hear what I said when I was working at Waterfront because he was he was running all the centres. But
Yeah, he's just come in, yeah,
yeah, I'm glad that he come in now rather than earlier.
earlier
Um,
on.
but yeah, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like it just depends. I mean, everyone's got a way of getting over their problems. For example, it could be drawing. It could be I don't know. It could be drawing. It could be going to the gym. It could be going running. It could be absolutely anything. And I just think people if they're trying to get over something, they have to try and get over it in the right way. And doing drugs or even going out fighting or anything will just make situations worse. I feel like your escape has to be a good escape, if you know what I mean. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
can't.
and of
It
course.
can't. Yeah, it can't be something that's going to damage
I've,
you even more.
yeah, it's got to be that focus, isn't it,
Yeah.
on good things. You know what I mean? Not the like as you say, this masking it, isn't it? If it's going out, if, as you say, going out and having a good time and or having a drink or whatever, that's just masking it for that period of time, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just feel like
So
I mean, there isn't anything wrong with going out and socialising with your friends or anything like that. But I think when people take it to an extent where it's every single weekend, they're spending a lot of money. Like it got to a point a few years ago where all I wanted to do was go out, and I was playing
mm,
for a pretty decent. I remember I was playing for. I think this was just when I signed from Meridian VP. I think I was just 17, and we had a game
mm,
against Punjab United just before they sort of got a bit bigger.
yeah,
And I was in a bit of a dark place at the time because of a few situations going on, but it wasn't too bad. I wasn't the worst I've been, and
yeah,
all I wanted to do was go out. I was going out Thursday, Friday, and then it was the thing that was making it worse as well. Where I was going out on a Friday, I wasn't playing as well on a Saturday, and I was feeling more bad because I had a poor game. So it
yeah.
all sort of everything just correlates with itself, don't it? If you know what I mean.
It rolls over to the next thing, doesn't it? It rolls
Yeah,
over to the
yeah.
next thing.
That's what I meant to
So,
say. Yeah, like rolls over, like it
mm,
all affects stuff. So, and it's another thing with I know a lot of people don't play football. So imagine someone is they're dealing with their mental health and stuff, and then their thing is going out and drinking every single weekend, and then the next problem they have is they haven't got enough money to pay their bills or something like that. So I just feel like if, like for example, we created Paul from our team created a mental health awareness course, and I feel like on these courses it should teach people how to not to help people with mental health, because I feel like we should have more to help people, give advice to people that are struggling. Because I've had, since the People to See has been started, I haven't had hundreds of people ask me for advice, but I've had a fair few people message me asking for advice and stuff, and I have to say to them, like, I'm not a professional, but all I can do is recommend doing this and that. So I feel like
I was
there
gonna,
should be more.
I was gonna ask you that. Like, obviously, you mentioned that. It's all like sometimes like I've been speaking to a few people. Obviously, you've watched the lives and that, and I was saying, like it's all good and well having these qualifications and having these courses and everything like that, but sometimes can you not beat the life experience of
Yeah,
somebody who's gone through it or been around it, like with a family member? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything, because I'm not a professional. I've said
yeah,
that
great.
all along, but I can bring light from how I've gone through it because of my dad, and obviously somebody like you, obviously who's gone through it with your mum and other aspects, and the same as I know with Paul as well. Like we're not saying we're professionals, but we can put light to it because
Yeah,
we feel we've gone through it. Like, it's all good and well doing all these courses, and I agree they are good courses, but you can't beat something. What's life?
it's it's the same as with like I sort of believe that the best football managers are ones that have played themselves. I feel like if someone who hasn't played football, I probably could be wrong, but I feel like you could coach football better with experience, and I think that is the same thing. Because I would rather, I think if someone's been through the same situation as you, for example, if someone's struggling with an injury, they're injured for 9 months, and you know they can find someone who's also been with a similar injury or for a similar thing. I feel like it's easier to talk to. There's more things to talk about with it. So I feel like that would make it easier. Like that, if there's
Yeah.
someone, if you've had the experience, it's easy to talk about it.
Yeah. What going back to obviously the story with when you were struggling at school, etc. I've asked a few people questions. Do you feel because of the funding, there's not enough experience or people in the school environment to help at a young age where it probably it would help? You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I don't feel like it is always to do with funding and stuff, because the school that I went to was quite a not a rich school, but they had enough money to be able to get stuff. I feel like it's the way you approach things, because you can have all the money in the world, but like you said, if you haven't got the right thing to say to people, the right advice or some sort of experience, then it won't work. So I feel like it's not. I feel like there is a serious issue with mental health, and I don't feel like it's. I think now it's getting approached more, but I still feel like it's just more about effort than anything. Because
Do you
there was.
feel? Sorry, I
Sorry,
was
mate.
going to say, do you feel there's still the big stigma around, obviously, mental health, or do you feel it is better?
I feel like it's better, but not. But I feel like it could get even more better. It could get even better, because there's still times when like not particularly big issues, but like minor issues that I've had, and it's I'm with my girlfriend, I'm with my mum or something, and I don't really want to talk up because it's not an issue that a lot of men face or something, or a lot of men want to talk about. So a lot of the time it could be to do with people's their own personalities, but I still feel like there's a stereotype of men should be strong, and they shouldn't talk about their problems and stuff. I still feel like it is, but I feel like it's improving a lot, and I feel like since football's got involved, I feel like it's got a lot better since football has got involved. I feel like Sunday league football has really helped mental health.
Okay. I don't know if you want to, obviously, from your school and everything going on, and obviously we touched on why you started the People's FC, but I don't know if you want to touch on just before that with obviously finding your friend and that. It's up to you if you want to do that. If you don't want to, then I understand.
Well, to cut the long story short, it was a lot of people get it wrong and say, like, for example, someone the other day said it was one of my best friends. He wasn't a best friend of mine. He was a family friend, and he was someone I grew up with. His younger brother. He was a bit older than me, and he suffered with mental health himself, obviously, because he hung himself. But it's the same thing as what I was saying earlier. But I feel like it's about more effort than anything. He was actually in he was in a hospital, a mental hospital, and he come out. They said he was fine, and then a few days later, he actually hung himself, and it was hot. And that's when I just feel like it needs to be more effort put in place to protect men. And a little while after that, so I found him. Obviously, I found him hanging. He hung himself and stuff. I'll be honest. I wasn't as bad until I found out I knew him. So I've obviously found him. I found him hanging in a tree, and I didn't recognise him, and that was a really hard thing as well. I didn't recognise him at all. He looked like, I'll be honest, he looked like he was a complete different race, if I'm honest, because of the difference in his skin tone and things like that. Yeah. And after I found him, 2 days later, I actually found out that I knew him, and that's when it sort of really hit me. So that's when it was bad, and that's when little things like, I think even now, to points where like I have to watch, if I'm watching something like a horror film or something, I have to Google if there's any scenes where someone hangs themselves, because I get the flashbacks, and it really, I've cried. Like, there's been times when I've been 19 years old, 20 years old, I've had to go and get in bed with my mum because I've seen someone hang themselves. It was hard. It was really hard for a long while, but I'll be honest, since I started the People's FC, I've sort of got over a lot of things, but I'm still really nervous with a lot of things. Of like, I don't like going into crowded places as much, like pubs and things like that, because I still just get nervous with it. But I feel like I'm. It's been nearly 4 years now, and I still feel like I've got not a long way to go, but there's a few things that I need to get over for me to say, like I'm there.
Yeah. So obviously that was a hard experience, and obviously you're still dealing with it now. What care did you go through to around you? Was there enough support, or did you go for counselling? Some people are not; they don't want to see counsellors. Some people do. What was the aftercare really of that incident really for you?
So I got a call from the police 3 days. I believe it was 3 days later. It could have been 4. Could have been anything. And they said that they're going to get me in touch with. They said, "Do I want a counsellor?" And they sent me an email. I had to say that I consent to get in a counsellor. And I actually said yes. I'd like a counsellor. Yeah. And I'd waited a phone call for them to confirm that I was getting one. They rung up and said, "Yeah, we're going to get you a counsellor. We're going to let you know where you have to go. Who he is, and everything else." And I didn't hear nothing back, and I still haven't. So I didn't get any help, and I sort of just dealt with it myself. And the two things that did get me through, not get me through it, but the two things that sort of distracted me from it was football and going to the gym. So same as what I was saying earlier, people just have to find an escape from whatever they're dealing with.
Why do you feel they didn't? Why do you feel that they didn't follow it up?
I don't want to say it's because I was a guy, but I think that was maybe because I was young, maybe because I'm a guy. I don't know, but there wasn't actually a specific reason that they said I didn't get the help that I wanted. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I feel like the reason I didn't get help, and I feel like that made me stronger myself. So I just feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, and I agree with you there. Obviously, I feel that it should have. Obviously, you should, and not only you, but other people probably have not had that aftercare, and I feel that that's a big thing. You know what I mean? After you've gone through something like that, you should have at least someone who actually
some sort of
aftercare or look. I want to get you to cancel that. Talk about it. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? But
yeah, of course.
At least you should have had some support at that time from the the authorities. You know what I mean? As it's saying. So I
Yeah.
think that's quite poor. If I'm being openly honest, you know what I mean?
I
And
haven't really thought about it until now, though. Until I haven't really thought about that. But yeah, that is quite poor. I haven't thought about it. I just sort of just forgot about it, if anything.
because probably it was not natural to you to think about it. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
something what you like. You probably think about because as you say, you focused on other things and you got through it. But say you hadn't. You know what I mean? Or other people had gone through the same experience as you and not had that focus to do something else. Like,
Yeah.
no offense, but touch wood, obviously, it's good that you did, you know what I mean, have that focus because you could have gone into a very, very dark place and
Exactly.
or somebody else could have gone into a very dark space. And I just think that's quite poor, you know what I mean, that they didn't follow up any of it.
I mean, I, I, I don't want anyone to take this in the wrong way, but I feel like everything happens for a reason. And
Mm,
I believe that me finding the guy was called Michael, I believe that me finding Michael hang himself was a way for me to create the people to see and save more than one life, if you know what I mean. I don't want that to offend anyone, but I feel like maybe like the way I see it was his death wasn't in vain, it was a sacrifice to save other people's life.
mm,
Because I've had people message me. I've had people that you probably know actually message me saying about how the People's FC has helped them to open up and things like that.
mm.
So I don't want to say that he died in vain, like he took his own life for no reason. I feel like he was he sacrificed himself for the People's FC to save more than just his own life, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, moving on obviously to now, obviously with the People's FC. Obviously, yeah, you let everyone know what the People's FC is and what you've been doing since it's created and what the plans are obviously going forward with the People's FC.
So, see, I love talking about the People's FC because my life is genuinely the People's FC. I'm not just talking about. I just spend my Sundays on it. I spend Monday to Sunday
Yeah.
planning stuff, planning football sessions, planning stuff for my under-13s, planning our charity events. So what we're a Sunday team, but we're predominantly a mental health charity team, and we don't just raise money for mental health. We don't raise money for any official charities like Cancer Research or anything. We raise
Mm.
money for sort of more single person charities and things like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if anything, we want to use football as an excuse to help people. So my thinking is with football is such a massive game and such a big game. Why don't we use it to help people? So after the first game, you know, if anything, we sort of started by accident, and once we once we've done our first charity event, it just seemed that we sort of exploded, and then we now do four. So we do the Plumstead Charity Cup final, which is for the family friend that unfortunately found to take his own life. We do the Bill Duggan Memorial, which is for a guy called Bill who unfortunately lost his life. I never actually met Bill, but I know a lot of his friends, and they asked if we could do a game in his memory. Uh, a woman I know, a girl I know, she lost her mum to cancer last year January, and I raised money for her. I raised money for the daughter because she looks after her younger brother, that's just helping her pay bills and stuff. She's only my age, and she has to look after her brother and pay all the bills in the house and stuff. So the money that I get her is just to help her in any way. And then the last one is an event called Rosie's Day. And Rosie's Day, my dog is really getting on my nerves.
Don't
And
worry about
Rosie's
it,
Day
son.
is look at him, he's like squaring up to me now. And Rosie's Day is for a girl with a rare form of cerebral palsy. She needed, I believe it was 100 grand to have an operation in Great Ormond Street, so she could walk for the first time and play football. She wanted to play football, and
Yeah.
we helped her get the last 2 grand towards her operation. And yeah, so the other day he's chewing my hat, and we we helped get the last 2 grand towards her operation. And for the first time the other day, she actually stood up by herself. So
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, no, yeah.
that was amazing. So we're a charity football club who we just do anything we can to help charities, and we've recently been nominated for the best charitable campaign at the Football Content Awards, which is probably my greatest achievement, if I'm honest.
No, obviously, what are your plans? Obviously, I voted on obviously that and everything like that. Obviously, hopefully you achieve and obviously win that as well. But what is
Hopefully,
your
hopefully.
plans? What are your plans going forward?
So with the People's FC, the plan is just to keep expanding, because the more teams we've got involved in the club, the more money we can raise for charity. So
Yeah.
at the moment we've got 4, we've got 3 men's teams and we've got an under 13s team. The plan is to just keep expanding them and to keep raising funds, because I want to start doing things for the less fortunate people. For example, I know a lot of kids around my area who can't afford to play football because football's becoming an expensive sport.
Yeah.
So I want to start doing free football sessions. I want to try and get it so my under 13s don't have to pay. I want to do sessions for people who are dealing with mental health. I want to do free football sessions for people dealing with, addiction, alcohol, drugs, anything. So that's just the plan. I just want to keep expanding the People's FC so I can help more people. If anything, I just want to help people. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. With mental health, obviously we spoken a few questions and that, but why do you feel people's mentalities may have changed from when I know you're a lot younger than me, but obviously from when I was younger to what it is now? Why do you feel that is?
I'll be honest. I don't want to. I feel like for me, the only way that I've seen mental health improve is through football. And I feel like as much as like social media is frowned upon, as it doesn't help people and things like that, I feel like since I don't want to say we're the only people to do it, but I feel like since we've started to help people through it, we've seen a big rise in charity football teams, mental health football teams, and I feel like it's just more spoken about, and I feel like more men open up, so it feels like other people will as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's opened up more because of social media as well. As bad as social media is, it has helped out a lot in terms of getting people to speak up, and I feel like football's helped it a lot as well.
Yeah. I was going to obviously the next question was some people have different opinions on this, but from obviously the Premier League, I spoke to Kevin George a couple of weeks ago, who's wrote a good book on obviously mental health in football and stuff like that. He turned around and said that it's still on the way up with the Premier League and the academies and everything like that. He said it is improved because of people like himself gone into Premier League clubs or Championship clubs, but that's at the higher end. Do you feel that there should be some sort of system in the non-league game so that managers may understand mental health more, or coaches as well know it and understand it more about mental health instead of it maybe being an old school mentality that it's only about results?
Well, I feel like it's about going back to effort and stuff as well, and I feel like with when you become a football manager, you need to do certain courses, you need to do certain things. I feel like it doesn't have to be a long course. It could be a day course. It could be an online course. I feel like it should be what's the word I'm looking for? It should be like you have to do it. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Mandatory.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be. So people know how to deal with it, because it's not just players in your team. When players don't get into teams they want to, when players are dealing with injuries, they go through a lot. And I feel like if the coaches maybe they could even assign a mental health coach to leagues or something. So every single league has a mental health coach that if players are feeling down or dealing with something, they can speak to him rather than each team, because I feel like that would be a lot of teams wouldn't be able to afford that, or a lot of
Yeah.
teams might not be able to get one. I feel like if there was, say for example, Southern Counties League had a mental health coach where, say for example, someone who played from, I don't know, a team in the Skeppel felt down, they could message him and go, what do I do in this situation? Or, I need help. I feel like that would be a good approach if each league had a designated, for example, like each league in Westford, they've got the chairman of Westford, they've got a treasurer. Maybe if they had someone who could,
on the committee or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. If they had someone on the committee that was, designated to be the mental health coach, I feel like that would be good. That could help save a lot of people. There's a
I
lot of
think that's a
careers.
good idea. Because obviously, as you say, I think it is about funding. You know what I mean? And every club, as you say, might not be able to afford that person. But I think it needs to be more open-minded from coaches and managers to think about players' mental health. Because for me, you're not going to get the best out of your players if they're
Yeah,
having a struggle. You know what I mean? So it's for me, instead of it being just about ability or performance nowadays, I feel like it's 50-50 with your mental state. Are you focused on the game? Are you focused on what's going on? And you haven't got problems away from it, what you're bringing into football. And I feel like it should be a bit more open-minded from managers and coaches nowadays.
yeah. I feel like, you know what? I think that is pretty spot on. I do. I feel like, yeah. I feel like if it was more spoken about within the game, because I feel like myself as well, I've sort of dealt with it where, you know, I haven't been picked for a game. I remember I travelled all the way to Maidstone for a game once for a team in the Scaffle. I didn't get on, and I said to the manager, like, I'm a bit disappointed. I feel a bit down about it. Am I not good enough? And
Mm.
their approach was just improved then.
Yeah.
And I was just
Well,
like,
that doesn't help. Yeah.
what? That doesn't help at all. And
Mm.
there's been times as well when, I mean, if you are struggling with something, I mean, football is an escape, but it can also make the situation worse. So say, for example, you know, people say that football is an escape, but if you are feeling down and then, you know, you go out and drink, you go out and get drunk, and then the next day your performance isn't as good because you are drunk, then maybe you're going to make yourself feel even worse when you know you get subbed off after 60 minutes because you've had a poor game, or you don't get on because you haven't performed in the warm up or something.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
again, like you said, it goes in roundabouts.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously I feel like obviously a lot of people obviously have gonna have to help with that. You know what I mean? And I have to be more open minded for things like these to come in. Touching on that, how do you feel people obviously away from maybe football and in general in football, how do you feel they can put in place these projects or um, initiatives? You know what I mean? How do you feel they can do that?
Well, I was speaking to someone a little while ago involved in the team. Obviously, the People's FC have we've created our own mental health awareness course. I feel like if it was spoken more about in schools, if we start, I'm not saying, you know, like the bottom. When I say the bottom, I mean the younger ages. If you spoke about
Yeah.
more in the younger ages, and you know, if 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 it was, if we teach younger kids that it's okay to not be okay, then I feel like it would just sort of, it would help out a lot more
Mm.
if we started at the bottom and then worked our way up. So if we started in schools, you know, I would love to do this. I'd love to be able to go into schools and tell kids about my experience when I was their age. And if we start in schools, it would just help. It would just expand from there. So if
Mm.
you see every once a week, you know, the People's FC went into schools and spoke about mental health, I reckon it would then catch on that a football team's doing that, and it would more expand into the semi-pro leagues and the lower leagues. So
Mm.
I feel like that would be a good thing for my team to aim for, actually.
Yeah. So like, yeah, maybe obviously the aim of maybe not yourself, but for you, yeah, to have that aim, but also other people if they've got aspirations to do that, obviously like try to set it up the best they can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's about everyone being open minded to it. I feel. You know what I mean? And that. Yeah, obviously. A couple more questions and that. If anyone else in here has got any questions for Kai, obviously ask him as well. But what do you feel people's obviously mental health will be after this lockdown? Now that it's easing, but obviously how do you feel their struggles would have been before that?
I feel like a lot of people was already struggling with their mental health. So obviously, people that are diagnosed with it, people that are hiding it, and being stuck indoors all day is not even for me. I'm at the moment, my life is very good. I'm loving my life, but there's been days I've been stuck in. You know, I haven't got my football on a Sunday. I haven't got my training to go to, and it's affected me. And I'm quite a strong person. So for someone who is struggling, it must be horrible for them to be stuck in. And I feel like that's something that hasn't been touched upon either. I
No.
haven't seen one thing on the news that's saying about, you know, I see something the other day about the amount of people that have committed suicide from being in lockdown. It was a high number, so it's another thing that
Yeah.
hasn't been spoken about. And I also feel like it could affect people even more once the lockdown finishes, because a lot of people are going to be going back to, going to lose their jobs. A lot of people are going to be used to it, staying in lockdown. Yeah, a lot of people a lot of people getting used to it. A lot of people are actually enjoying being in lockdown. So I feel like it, once again, it's 50-50. So some people will relish, will not relish. Some people will struggle being in a lockdown, and some people will struggle from not being in a lockdown.
Yeah, I think the anxiety to maybe go back to work, or if they have got
Yeah,
work or whatever, they haven't been there. You know what I mean? So the anxiety could be there for them as well. You know what I mean? Which is not going to help. Um, Ryan Slade and said, positivity and communication is the key in times like these.
I had someone message me the other day about they actually DM'd my account, not the People's FC account, and they said, I need some advice. It was only a young kid, I believe, because I didn't actually follow him, and he didn't follow me. And you know, from his bio was a footballer. His picture was a footballer, and I didn't know this kid. And he said, I'm really worried about going back into my education because I'm scared that I don't want to get the coronavirus, and I don't want to get the coronavirus. And he said, but I want to go back into school because I don't want to fail my exams.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one, because you don't. I said to him, the best thing to do is just to keep studying at home, and to keep being positive, and to stop thinking that you will definitely get it. And I said to him as well, don't take my advice for it. I'm not qualified or anything. And that's another thing that I would love to push as well, is helping people go back into society without the fear of getting a coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of people are struggling with as well, because a lot of people are quite scared of germs and things like that anyway. So now that I'll admit, I've never been one to be scared of germs and things like that. And even when I was still working just before lockdown, I was a bit scared. So for people that have got OCD and things like that, it must be awful at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, last question from me, Kai. Hopefully there might be a couple others, but if not, then obviously
I'll get
I'll
your
let you
questions in, people.
go. But what's your overall thoughts going forward? How people can help everyone with if they've got struggles with mental health, and what everyone else maybe with projects and everything. You've touched on it a little bit. How we can help going forward with mental health.
The first thing that I want to open up with is, if anyone watching this live is struggling, feel free to message me. Feel free to remember that it's okay to not be okay. That's the one thing I always say to people. And also, if you do know someone that is struggling, the best thing that you can do is just message them to see if they're all right. If they are struggling with anything that you don't feel comfortable talking about, remember that you're not a bad person if you can't help someone. Remember that you're not a bad person if you don't know what to say. And if anything, I would say get them to ring up a helpline if it is that serious. Or maybe, I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but are you able to ring up a hotline to talk about someone else who's feeling down? Are you
I
allowed to
don't
do that?
know. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure
Maybe
if I'm being honest.
I think that's something I want to look into as well. We're seeing if you can call up a hotline to help someone else out. That would.
I'm sure you can ring up and obviously ask for advice on what they're maybe going through. But obviously, I think overall probably they've gone to have to ring themselves if they really
Yeah.
want that help. But I'm sure you can ring up and ask for advice. You know what I mean, on what you feel that person may be going through. So say you didn't want to ring. Yeah, so
You can
yeah,
call for
so
someone else.
Ali's just turned around and said that you can call for someone else. So yeah, I assure you, obviously, as you say, you can ring up and say, look, I have a friend of mine. You don't have to mention no names. I've got a friend of mine who's struggling. They're showing this. What advice would you give me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like, again, it's one of them things where if people were educated from young in mental health, then they know how to deal with it more. So not only would being educated in how to deal with mental health help them themselves, it can also help other people.
Yeah.
So I feel like the next aim for the club for me is going into schools and doing videos from schools and teaching young kids how to deal with mental health, and then maybe that can help them. So
Yeah.
that's sort of my next aim.
Yep. Obviously, for everyone who's in here as well, me and Kai have spoken. As soon as lockdown's done, we want to obviously do as much as we can for mental health. We're going to talk about doing more podcasts, but obviously not over Instagram Live, recording them and sorting proper podcasts out, and hopefully we can get as many guests on and talk about it and show more awareness than just on these lives, you know what I mean? And hopefully we can help as many people as we can. You've got one there from Ben Rogers. When's the next charity event, Kai?
Well, the next charity event we was going to do is the mental health one for the Pumpster Charity Cup final. So,
Yeah.
for anyone who don't know, the Pumpster Charity Cup final it's a day to celebrate the guy who's I found hanging himself's life. It's a day to raise money for his 2 kids, and it's a mental health awareness day as well. And that was supposed to be on May the 19th, but we don't know when football's coming back yet. I mean, as it looks, everything's sort of going back to normal now, so hopefully football will come back. And if we have got enough time in pre-season, then we will do the Pumpster Charity Cup final. But if not, it will be Rosie's Day on the 22nd of December. That'll be our next event. Or actually, I've got the Bill Duggan Memorial that I've got to sort out as well. So, if anything, I'd say just keep looking at our socials for when the next event is, because it's a bit up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, do you want to obviously put your socials out there for the ones what are going to watch this later or watching now?
Yeah, so the socials for our YouTube is the People's FC. The Instagram is the_Peoples_FC, and the Twitter is Peoples_FC. And if anyone is free, please go to the Football Content Awards and vote for the People's FC under the Best Charitable Campaign. I'm honestly honoured to even be nominated for it. So let alone if we win it. If we win it, I will probably cry, and you will see. Let me know if I'm down to give a hand if I'm not playing. And don't forget, I want to advertise our game against Essex Charity. I'm really looking forward to this game on the 11th.
Yeah.
But yeah, please vote for us if you get the time. It takes 2 seconds to do. It's totally free. It's going to be blogged. It's going to be filmed, and I will probably cry. So if you want to see me cry, then the perfect way to do it is by voting for us.
Yeah. Again, obviously, I think me and you will probably speak as well. We're going to try to obviously maybe do an event, obviously, as well, or if we can sort something out. So if we get that planned or sorted after lockdown, hopefully we can get that in as well. I know you're busy, but hopefully we can do it, sort something out, even
I've
if
always
it's
got
like
time to help you out, Jamie. I've always got time for someone else involved in the game.
even if we do like a mini tournament or something or whatever, you know what I mean? Again, and stuff like that. But everyone keep looking, and that Ben Rogers has just put it in there, so everyone go and vote. I'll be putting it up again as well. I've already gone and voted. So everyone keep on voting. Kai, keep safe, mate, and we'll catch up real soon. All right, then.
Thank you, man.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon. Bye bye. So that was Kai from the People's FC. Yeah, go and follow his socials. Also, I've got a YouTube channel, so if you've missed any of this and you've just come in or you've missed some of it tonight, the YouTube channel, go and subscribe to that. It's mental health # let us talk. Go and watch that. This interview will be on as soon as I can upload it. There's other interviews from before as well. I thank everyone for their support. But if you can go to the YouTube channel, mental health # let us talk. Make sure you subscribe as well, and have a watch of all the other videos. As I said from the start, since I've been doing this, if it can help one person, that's the aim. Thank you again to Kai coming on, the People's FC, wonderful guest, and obviously we'll be looking to work together in the future on different events. Everyone keep safe. I'm back on Monday night with 4 guests. DT from DTFC, who's just won the Blood Brothers League and is a big part of the Arsenal fan TV as well. I've got Gavin Walker, a good friend of mine, coming on. I've also got, just checking the last 2. I've got Dominic Weston, who's the coach with me at FC Elmstead in the Southern Counties East Football Division. And the last guest on Monday night will be Big SE Dons fan, Plasman. So, last message from me tonight. Go and have a look at the interview tonight and past interviews. Mental health, hashtag let us talk. I will see you on Monday night. Everyone keep safe. Monday night, 8 o'clock. See you then. Bye.